Hi there, it's Martin here with a question that a lot of property investors ask me, which is what are the risks of joint venturing with my builder? Now, before you watch this video, I would encourage you to look for the video that I made that explains the difference between a builder and a developer. Because if you listen to that video, if you watch that video, you'll see the subtle difference between a builder and a developer. And to some extent, that might well help you answer the question about understanding the risks of joint venturing with a builder. The principal risk you've got with joint venturing with a builder is that many builders do not understand the development end of the process. And as I say, if you don't understand the development end of the process, look for the other video and that will explain that in more detail. Builders are good at delivering the project. They bring in teams of tradesmen at the right time. They buy materials and they put this whole thing together for you. If you are going to joint venture with that builder, you need to still be sure who is managing the development end of things, who is sorting out the planning application, who is sorting out the finance, who's sorting out the structural details, who's managing the tender process or the pricing process. And sometimes I've met property investors who have joint ventured with builders, and actually neither party has done that. They've kind of just bumbled into some kind of agreement because neither party realised that there is this other lump of responsibility that needs to be carried out. Builders are not always aware what happens before they get involved with projects. And of course, if you are less experienced as a property investor, then you may not be aware of this stage in here. So I would say to you, if you are considering joint venturing with a builder, be really clear that you both understand who is becoming the developer, who is carrying out all of these initial elements that need to be carried out before the builder can actually make a start on site. Now, the other big risk you need to take on board if you are going to joint venture with a builder is a financial risk. I have to say, I do get a lot of calls from property investors who have joint ventured with their builders and believed that they have, shall we say, been ripped off, that they have spent way more than they should have done. For that reason alone, my advice is I don't think you should be joint venturing with a builder. Remember, my background is building and construction. I was a manager. I worked for building contractors. And I could tell you so many ways that I could manipulate the figures so that you are not paying your fair share, shall we say. If that's 50-50 or whatever the agreement is, it would not be possible for me to manipulate the figures if I were a contractor. I'm not a contractor any longer, so it's not relevant. But when I was a contractor, it was not difficult because that was my business and I knew how to do that, so I knew how to manipulate it. But the other thing is if you are joint venturing with a builder and let's say you're putting all the funds in and they're doing a lot of the work, they've got less of an incentive to be efficient with the expenditure. And I do see a lot of property investors who have probably overspent because the builder hasn't been efficient, because the builder's not been on a fixed price contract. The builder's just kind of got on and bumbled along and built. Probably alongside that, move some of the costs from another project onto that scheme anyway, which goes back to the previous point I was making. And all in all, the job cost him way more than it should have done. So I think the answer to the question, what are the risks of joint venturing with a building contractor, the risks are someone needs to deal with the development side of things still, and you also need to be super clear that the builder's not not necessarily ripping you off or not spending the funds wisely. Personally, I would recommend against it, unless you had someone like myself in there in the team to try and eliminate it and look after your interests. I was approached by a property investor a number of years ago. He was developing a site of new houses. I think there were about 9 houses on this site. Sadly, the builder that he was joint venturing with went bust. He asked me to come and do a survey with him of all of the works that were incomplete. We did that survey. I put a budget together, and he said, wow, the cost that you think it's going to cost to finish this job off is way more than the amount of money I thought I owed him. We then started looking into some of the other figures, and it was obvious that this particular contractor knew that financially things weren't going well, and it was obvious that they were manipulating the figures, and my client was actually ended up overpaying as a result. That client, by the way, was actually a qualified solicitor. No disrespect to solicitors, he was a sensible guy. He knew what he was doing, but the builder had outsmarted him by talking technical and being clever with the construction side of things, hiding things up that still needed doing, but he'd made it look like things were complete to someone that was not constructionally qualified and trained. So hopefully with that case study and a little bit of explanation, you can now answer the question as to whether you should joint venture with a builder. As I say, personally for me, it's not the thing I would want to be doing, but you can make your own decisions, and you can do your own due diligence, and it may well be right for you. Please leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your comments relating to joint venturing with builders, good or bad, because we can all learn from those. And subscribe to these videos, and you'll be told when the next one comes live, and I look forward to seeing you on that next video.